just knowing that the pre-approval is $500,000.
After listening to family and friends, they were convinced that they can't buy a house until June. And long story short, they actually ended up buying a house.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our podcast. My name is Charmaine Hernandez, and I'm from Coldwell Banker. For today's guest, she works from the bank, and she's also an immigrant like me. So I would like to welcome, ladies and gentlemen, this is Genee Reyes.
Hi everyone, Genee Reyes here, Mobile Mortgage Advisor with CIBC. So good to be here, finally.
Yes. Thank you for stopping by. And Jen, can you tell us who is Genee Reyes?
You know what? Again, Genee Reyes, I came here and moved here from the Philippines back in 2002. It's actually 20 years as of yesterday.
Oh,
So I came here when I was 15 years old. So I grew up here. Grade 9 is when I came here. So I have the pleasure of being born and raised in the Philippines, but really knowing the culture here in Canada. I'm a mother of 4, soon to be 4. And yeah, it's a really busy life, and I enjoy what I do with CIBC.
awesome. So how long have you been working as a mortgage specialist?
As a mortgage advisor, I've been doing this for about 2 years and a little bit. But prior to that, I have 10 years of, federal service employee experience, which has allowed me. So when it comes to like financial statements and all of that, my background is taxation. So that has really given me a lot of leverage in terms of, working as a mortgage advisor.
So it molded you to become
Yeah.
what you are today.
Yeah. And then in all of when I look back at my experience, even as a federal service employee, the heart of what I do is helping others. And so when I had the opportunity to transition, I said, okay, I have to find my next job where I I give value to my clients and also help them make the home mission a reality. So yeah.
So what can you say about the current market? So, a lot of people are saying this is not the right time to buy because of interest rate and stuff. What are your takes on that?
You know what? I always say to clients that when it comes to buying a house, now is always better, right? So one of the things, of course, that always comes up is the high interest rates. But what people fail to see sometimes is that when it's a high interest rate environment, not everyone is now actively looking, right?
Yes.
So kind of different now, but when it's a smaller pool of people, right? There's actually a lot of opportunities for our buyers to negotiate a better price.
Yes.
So like when we talk about, one of the things that we always talk about was, say for example, during the pandemic, right? Yes, it's 1.87% or less than 2% of interest rates. But when you look at the offer to purchase, people are buying 80 to 100,000 over. And guess what?
And more.
And more, yeah.
Yes.
And that 80 to $100,000 that they're overpaying follows them for the rest of their life. Whereas if you have an interest rate of 5% for 3 years, bite the bullet for 3 years, right? And then it's going to come back to normal. But you're not stuck with that extra $100,000 mortgage.
So, guys, did you pick up the point? There is no such thing as when is the right time to buy. If you are ready, if you get the information, and try to get an information firsthand, please. Because we talk to a lot of people every single day. They come to our office, we connect them with mortgage specialists. The next thing you do, they don't pick up the call because of few things here and there.
Yeah.
So I always say that try your very best to get your information firsthand. So, Jen, financial literacy. Our community is not financially, literate. So how do you manage to
like just get them out there?
yes, to get the information and all those things?
You know what? I think when I talk to my clients, it really comes from a heart of wanting to help. One of the biggest things I've noticed in between Philippines and of course here in Canada is in Canada we have so much opportunities out here. There's equal opportunities, and I always tell my clients, buying a house is never about it's a yes or no. It's when. And if we do the right things and have what we call the financial literacy, I can take you from this place to that. One of the biggest things as well, and you've probably seen this more often too, is our clients, when they say, you know what, I'm going to get pre-approved whenever I'm ready. I always tell them, how do
Yes.
you know what to get ready if you
Yes.
haven't talked
So
to me?
what if they are ready? Why are they coming to you
Yeah.
for?
So I think, to be quite honest, buying a house, when they're actively looking for a house, that's the easy part. The hard part is preparing for it. So say for example, I love our people. I'm finding that our kababayan sometimes have really high debts, and not because these are people who frivolously spend. In our heart, we always have family back home that we help. And so there's a lot of people out there, and I could be talking to one of you, where debts are at the skyrocket high, not because they went shopping, but because, say, for example, a family member in the Philippines got sick. And now their line of credits are out of whack, their credit cards are maxed out, and they feel discouraged because they feel like, now I can't buy a
Yes.
house. So what I do with those clients is I sit down with them. We're not judging them for the decisions that are made. Again, it came from a place of wanting to help. And I remind them, if your long-term goal is to help people, to help your family in the Philippines, we need to figure out your situation right now, right? And we tell them, this is what you need to do in order to get that house. So, for me, ate talaga, no judgments. The end of the day, let's be honest. And if it takes us a year to get to where you are, I am working.
It's okay.
I'm willing to work with you with that hour.
So, how do you find when some of our clients, they prefer to go someone else simply because they don't want you to find out how much debts they have and stuff? Then the next thing you knew, they already bought a house. But they were getting information from you in the very beginning. But then when it was the actual, but buying a house, because they don't want you to know these things.
I mean, at the end of the day, I understand, right? When you think about it's finances is very personal.
Yes.
And sometimes, especially if you have that existing relationship, they kind of don't want you to know about that. With me, and it's a little bit different take. I believe, and this, that faith plays a huge part on what I do.
Yes.
That my God is not a God of scarcity. My God is a God of exceedingly, abundantly, immeasurably more. And so
Yes.
I help my clients, right? And if they choose to take their business somewhere else, to be quite honest, I'm at peace with that, because I know that whatever is for me, no man, no person can take that away from me. So that deal is mine. But at the end of the day, I have peace of mind knowing I walked away and I gave it my 100%, and I helped you. And if you so choose to go somewhere else, that's up to you. But I'm hoping that, the conversations and the help that we've provided them will be enough for them to stick with us to the end.
Yes. So my next question, Jen, is sometimes you get an offer in which you didn't pre-approve. Offer just came in and the deadline is in 3 days. So what's the possibility of you turning that around, knowing that you didn't pre-approve them?
It's funny you said that, because I was looking at the deals that I've done in the last 2 weeks, and I find that people are, I don't know why, but people are doing that more and more.
Yes.
So, I mean, in the most ideal situations, they have a pre-approval. And by the way, when I do my pre-approval, I do everything up front. And I tell you this always,
Yes.
that even if they find a house, like say, for example, I pre-approved this person this morning, if they find a house this afternoon, they're in a position to put that offer, because I've done everything already at first. Now, coming back to your question, say, for example, somebody just put an offer without pre-approval, that's okay. We still work with them. It comes from, they just have to be able to, at the end of the day, it depends how fast they give their documents to me. Again, is that an ideal situation? Of course not, right?
Yes.
Because we want to be as ready as possible, but I'm not going to turn away somebody who's, who's looking for a house and they already have an offer. So we work with them for sure.
If that's being done, what's happening is the realtors, we get nervous, guys.
And we all get nervous. I
we
just
get
don't let you guys
nervous.
know that. We all get nervous.
We get nervous. See, how we work is we go with the flow. We go with the flow. We cannot stress enough how important pre-approval is. But, if we come across 2, 3 clients that are wanting to go and find the right house according to them, and in the end there's no pre-approval, and if the bank doesn't get it done, then
Yeah. And one of the biggest important thing I think as well is having open communication. So in between the
Yes.
banker and then the realtor, of course, this is with client's consent. We don't just connect. As a lender, I don't just go to Ate Charmaine and say, hey, you know what, this is whatever. I always have to get the consent of the client. Sometimes it makes it easier and a little bit more overwhelming from the client when we can speak with the realtor directly, right? Because there's specific things that I would ask from you and they wouldn't know what I mean,
yes,
right?
there are terms in which we communicate better, and that means we can filter the other stuff instead of them explaining it to us as a real estate agent, simply because of,
Yeah, and this is what we do every day. Whereas for a client, this might be just like a one-time off situation, right? So,
Yes.
yeah, so super important to have that open communication. And for me, even if one of the misconception I think when a mortgage advisor works with a bank is that I work within banking hours. Ate Charmaine can attest to this. She can call me at 8:15 in the evening, and we can do something about that, right? So there's certain things that I have to be in front of my laptop to give you that information. But you can call me or text me at any time, evenings, weekends, within reasonable time frame. We'll be able to, for sure, answer that and be there for you.
Also, Jen, can you tell our viewers why do they have to come to you? What's the difference of
Yeah, so we'll start first with, so as you guys know, I work for CIBC as a mobile mortgage advisor. We have different programs that's available out there for you. Off the top of my head, say for example, if you are a self-employed and have your corporation, right, we can actually use the assets and liabilities of the corporation and kind of translate that as part of your income. So generally speaking, again, this comes from my experience before a taxation, right? People who are directors or shareholders would sometimes take out just as minimal as they can possibly out of the corp so that they don't get taxed so much on their income, right? So maybe on their personal income tax, it looks like they don't make a lot of money. And then you take a look at their corporation, again, for as long as they're operating in the last 2 years, the money is really sitting in the corp. So we can leverage what the corporation has as part of the income. The other thing too we have what we call a high value program. So I mean, a lot of these programs exist. It's just that people don't know about them.
that it's available?
That it's available. So say for example, for the high value program, somebody can have a GDS of 90%, TDS of 90%. But if it's a client that has robust investments, whether it's with the bank or outside, again, we can use those investments as part of their income. And again, TDS at 90%. We
Wow.
can do that. We can do that for them. So I think for me, the biggest thing out there is when I do my first call with them, I really spend a lot of time on how they incur their income. And it's up to me to figure out the program that's best for them. So it's not just about what do you want for purchase price, how much is your down payment. Tell me a little bit of how you incur your income, and then I'll find that program that best suits your income. So asking a lot of questions. I ask a lot of questions, but just know that it's for you and it's to maximize and boost your pre-approval.
So, for the first-time home buyers or new immigrants, like in your pipeline, how much first-time home buyers are coming to you compared to people that wanting to upgrade?
I would say that 80% of my business is first-time home buyers.
Okay.
So there is quite a bit of that. Sometimes when they come to me, though, they're not sure yet if they want to buy right away.
Yes.
So to me, the biggest thing talaga is really to prepare them to buy that house. So say, for example, for CIBC, we have a newcomer to Canada program where
Okay.
they're given 2 years of free banking, and this is the important part, and they are given a credit card right from the get-go.
Really?
Yeah. So how is that important? So that is important because
Yes.
for the purpose of building credit, because credit is one of the major things that we look at the mortgage pre-approval, we're essentially setting you up to build that credit right away. And credit cards with a major financial institution versus, say, for example, a store,
Yes.
has more weight on your credit bureau and your credit score. So, and I love that, our company does that because, again, we're setting up these people to be able to buy a house, 1 year or 2 years down the road.
There you go. So when you're buying a house, three things, right? So income, the down payment, and also the credit. So if you can assist them in building a credit as early as when they open their bank account, so there's no reason for you to rent for the next 4 to 5 years.
Yeah. And say, for example, even we've had clients where, again, say, for example, they were on consumer proposal. We know that
Yes.
it's a given. They have 2 years from the date of discharge to be doing that. And what you and I always do is we say, okay, what can they do? The credit, it's a given. You have to wait 2 years. But that doesn't mean that you don't do anything in terms of your down payment or your income. You can still improve those two things while waiting on the 2 years. Say, for example, one of the things that I'm seeing now is, so say, for example, they're on consumer proposal, but they've been able to save up for their down payment.
Yes.
And sometimes the down payment sits on a checking account. And I said, what are you doing? There's a lot of vehicles out there where, say, for example, you can put in a first home savings account. I can make you money while you're waiting for that 2 years, right? Even for income, right? So sometimes they say, I get an understanding. I'm like, okay, if you want to get pre-approved for more, this is what you can do in your income. You can work more for this year and that year. So that's why that preparatory call
Is
very
very
vital.
important.
Yeah.
Very, very important. So the other stuff that I wanted to ask you, Jen, is this is your second year, did you say?
Yeah.
In
Third, I guess it would be third. Yeah.
it'll be your third?
Third, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So what are your plans in growing your career?
You know what? I'm at this before. So before this, like I said, when I was working I was working a federal employee for 10 years, and it's funny because every year and a half, I was always changing jobs because it's just like promotions after promotions, and then I just get bored a little bit. But for this one, I can't stress it enough. I enjoy what I do. The best part I love is really empowering people that they can buy a house. Because sometimes people come to us very discouraged. They think
Yes.
it's at the end of the road. And
Yes.
then I tell them, okay, this is where we are. This is where you want to be. These are the things that you need to get done to get here. So I empower them and say, you know what, when you walk away after this call, I want you to feel like you actually have control in buying that house. It's not up to me as a lender. It's not up to Ate to find that house. It's up to you to make those lifestyle changes and be able to, buy your dream home. Like, there's really no reason why you can't. It's just a matter of being able to, follow the recommendations that I've done. And so I'm just enjoying right now. How do I see myself? I can see myself honestly doing this for as long as I can. It's just something that I enjoy doing.
The thank you that we get from the homeowner. Actually, my favorite time of the year is Christmas.
Yeah.
Because that's when, like we see our clients, they'd send us pictures with their Christmas tree, and then a year ago they were like you'll see the Christmas tree is only this much because of space. And then the moment you connect with us, then it becomes bigger because now the space is bigger because you are already a homeowner. So, um, guys, if you have any questions, okay, if you have any questions, try to get the information firsthand, please. That will make your life easier and our life easier too
Yeah, and like don't
because
be, and the biggest thing out there is like don't be discouraged, like don't
yes.
disqualify yourself for a mortgage. If there's somebody that will tell you, hey, you know what, we would need to work on this one and this one, that would be us telling you.
Yes.
Have been a couple of times where one of my favorite stories, the one that I told you recently, they're very conscientious buyers. They didn't want me to pull credit. They didn't want to get income because they wanted to buy a house in June. And I said, and then it always comes back to why. Like, why do you
Why
think
in
that?
June?
Why in June? Why do you think you're not, why do you think you
Look at
can't
my
qualify?
list. Sorry for cutting you off. One is in July and one is in June.
Yeah, yeah. And we ask them why, because at the end of the day, sometimes, you could be, so for this specific person, you could be qualified way sooner than you think. And so for them, what we ended up doing is somehow I convinced them, I said, you know what? At the very least, let me take a look at your documents. I promise you I won't pull credit. We ended up doing it after. And then I've convinced them, I'm like, look, these are your numbers. You can actually go to an open house tomorrow and buy this house. And then they said, and they were surprised because in their minds, I guess after reading what's online, after listening to family and friends, they were convinced that they can't buy a house until June. And long story short, they actually ended up buying a house. They were able to take advantage of the first-time homebuyer incentive
Oh
program,
yes,
which
which
would be gone as of today. So if you didn't take the time to look at those documents, they miss out on opportunity. And because they bought the house in February, guess what? They were able to negotiate a really good price. Try and do that in the June, July.
yes, yes. Oh well. Sometimes it is what it is, right? But there's no harm in getting your information from us. It's free.
Yeah. And I always say it's no commitment. At the end of the day, let me help you. Let me see where we can, strengthen your future mortgage application. A lot, again, the prep work is the important part. Buying a house once you're pre-approved, that's the fun part. It's the prep work, and sometimes it could take months, sometimes it could take years. For me personally, I don't care when you want to buy. I want you to be prepared for it as soon as you can.
And it's not only that. Imagine, guys, for parade of homes or for open houses, you're driving down to Walmart and you saw a sign. Now you stop by, went in the house, but you don't know if you're pre-approved.
Yeah.
And in this weather, which is supposed to be spring, but it's cold,
Cold.
right? But it's you'll be more comfortable calling, booking appointments, checking out houses. Doesn't matter with real estate agents or even if you're just going to realtor.ca, you'll be more comfortable in checking those houses, looking at pictures if you're pre-approved.
Yeah, and then on the flip side of the other thing too is sometimes you think you can only afford, let's just say 400,000
Yes.
without you showing me your documents. And now I see your documents and I'll say, and then really at the back of their head, they wanted to buy this house for 480, but they've already thought in their heads, I can only do 400.
Yeah.
Now I take a look at documents and all along you could have afforded your dream home, but you again just disqualified yourself
Yes.
because we didn't have the right process and didn't go through the right pre-approval process. So it goes both ways. Either you're looking for something or you're putting an offer on a house that you technically can't afford, or you're disqualifying yourself from your dream home because you think you can only afford this little. So yeah, it all comes down to leveraging the experts and the agents. And for me, I really advocate for having an agent. Sometimes people come to us with a pre-approval and they don't have an agent. They go straight to a listing agent, and I say, sometimes it's good for you to have your own representation, right? So
The other thing, Jen, we like lately we've been coming across a lot of clients in which their pre-approval is say 500,000. and they would tell us that the house they're looking for is only 320 because they don't want to max out. What is your take on that?
I mean, at the end of the day,
They're scared.
Yeah.
They're scared just knowing that the pre-approval is 500,000 and they want to go here, not knowing what is involved in the 500,000. Like, are they going to eat? Are they going to...
So, the process of doing a mortgage pre-approval, we actually, so this is like, we're geeking out now, but these are things that you guys need to know. So we actually look at two ratios. One is the gross debt servicing ratio, and then the other one is total debt servicing ratio. The first one, gross debt, talks about what the payments are going to be, not even your actual payments, but we all put a buffer of 2%. So say, for example, if somebody was buying a house for 4.99, we calculate your payments as if it's 6.99. So we bump it up already.
There is a buffer already made by the bank in your behalf.
Yeah, so it's, say, for example, the mortgage payment is now 6.99. We add the property taxes, we add the heat, and that should be no more than 39% of your income. Okay, so that's the first ratio. The second one is what we call the TDS, which is, again, the mortgage payment, the stress test payment, right? So we ballooned your payment just to give you comfort that even if rates do shoot up at 2%, we can prove that your income can actually still accommodate that bump up. And then property taxes, heat, and any other car loans. That can't be more than 4 to 4% of your gross income. So what am I saying here? We will not give you a pre-approval if it's more than 4 to 4%. That leaves you still about 56% for all of the other things in the household.
And
So
that includes anniversary, celebration,
Exactly, right?
Jollibee, movies, concert.
Like, that's still a good 60% that we're not using of your gross income. So we're not going to put you in a position where you're going to be house broke. These things that you're thinking about have already been put into account when we're doing that mortgage pre-approval calculation. 60%, that's a lot of money.
Yes, yes.
Right? So if you, say, for example, for simplicity, $1,000, all of your debt and everything, credit cards, mortgage payments, $440, that still leaves you about $500 to do whatever you want.
And that includes, even if you don't have a credit card, like owing, they still put.
Yeah, so for, like, say, for example, for line of credit and that kind of stuff, right? So
And they don't owe anything, you still put.
there's still, yeah, sometimes there is an automatic calculation that goes into that, yeah.
There you go. So guys, we hope that you are learning from this podcast. This is one way of us reaching out to you because some doesn't want to book appointment
Yeah, and
for
sometimes-
whatever reason.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just nice to be sitting at home in the comforts of your own home without being asked, these many questions. But I'm hoping that this has become insightful and meaningful. And, we're very casual. This is actually how we talk. So, I don't, like, for mortgage approval, I don't do interrogation. I just ask what you have, and then we figure it out from there. So, yeah.
So for our viewers, how can they reach you?
Yeah, so you can easily go into the CIBC website. For mortgage advisor, you can put my name, Genee, so that's for Genee, last name is Reyes. Booking an appointment with us actually has never been this easy, so they can do that. Or you can text me, call me at 204-891-1857.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Genee Reyes of CIBC. Again, Jen, thank you so much for, stopping by. And we're hoping that some of the viewers will be calling you for further questions.
Yeah.
And we're very happy to see you.
Yeah, and thank you as well. You guys have always been so, Maneet and Charmaine. Serge, he's not as nice to me, but Maneet and Charmaine are always just so good to me. So thank you as well for having me here today.
Thank you so much.